What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for our pre-match fan show. The Premier League is back and I cannot wait. Tottenham are the first game to kick off 12:30 tomorrow morning at Selhurst Park. A very, very tricky game. Some are saying it's a potential banana skin. How are you looking at it?
Yeah, I definitely think it is a potential banana skin, only because Palace is such an unknown quantity with a new manager at the helm. You don't really know what you're going to get, and I think as well the players they've bought, they've recruited well over the summer, and it all depends. If Vieira strikes it right, the right balance, I think they could have a good season. I really believe that. So because it's so hard to predict, that's why it's a big potential banana skin, because if we think we're playing the Palace of last season, then we could be sorely mistaken. And if we underestimate them, then with the players like Zaha and Edouard and people like that in the team, they have the ability to hurt us. But I think where we should really be making headways, midfield and defence, our quality is really strong compared to Palace. I feel up front, obviously we've got Kane and I think Son's out, but I think their quality is really strong, very strong up front. So as long as we're restricting them to we're restricting any possession to the forward line, then I think we should be all right. But I think we can't underestimate them. We have to be as solid as we have been for the past 3 games. And
in terms of our kind of fullbacks, where we can block those lines to the forwards, in terms of Zaha, Gallagher, and whoever's going to be playing on the other flank as well, Reguilon he's done a stellar job at that this season, kind of intercepting passes, through balls and all that kind of stuff. Tanganga as well on the other side, who has been exceptional as his defensive display. All you have to do is look at that first game of the season, see how he pocketed Sterling and what have you. So, I mean, I think if we can block those lines like Reguilon's been doing all season, we've got a really good chance in this game.
Of course we do. And it's not just that, it's the whole team. I think we have to be performing like an aggressive unit that we have been since the start of the season. We need Dele, potentially Skip and Højbjerg all to be pretty much winning that midfield battle and helping out the fullbacks whenever possible. Because, Zaha, it doesn't matter how good a defender you are, if he's isolating you one-on-one, he's always got a decent chance of getting around you. He's that good of a dribbler. So it's very, very difficult. It's very important we don't allow Zaha to get into a situation where he's isolating either of the fullbacks in any situation, because then he can do real damage. But other than that, I think if we can win that midfield battle and start getting the ball on the ground, and if they start to press us, playing around their press and getting the ball to Harry Kane in space and Lucas Moura opening up space, I think we should be okay. We should be okay, because I really believe our defence, our midfield has much superior quality. But it's all about how we manage their front line.
Yeah. So let me just tell you how this stream is going to work. So we're going to go through Nuno's press conference and react to it. All 10 minutes of Nuno. It's quite a short one today. 10 minutes of the Nuno press conference where he'll tell us about all the kind of injury news and anything else you need to know about the game tomorrow. And then we'll be taking call-in. So it is your chance to have your say. The link for the members are in the community section right now. So if you want to click the link and then we'll get on to speaking to you and bring you on very shortly. But without further ado, let's get on to Nuno's press conference.
Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for your patience. We will start with a live section which has no embargo, followed by an embargoed section of 10:30 p.m. tonight. Please raise your hand if you would like to ask a question and remain on mute otherwise, and no live tweeting in the broadcast section, please. We will start with Michael Bridge from Sky Sports News, please.
Many congratulations on your award. And is it the message now, just carry on doing what you're doing?
Thank you for the award, but the award is for everybody. It's for the football club, and especially for the players, because they're the one that, since day one, committed themselves, and they have won the 3 games.
It was quite a tough international break for Spurs, wasn't it? A few injuries. What's the latest with Sonny?
He came like some of our players came with some issues. Sonny is not so well, but let's wait for the club to make the proper announcement and explain to you better with kind of injury he has.
Can you just get a bit of clarity on the Christian Romero and Giovanni Lo Celso? There was reports that they went without the club's permission, that they're going to be fined. There was so much talk about it. Could you just clear that up, Nuno?
Yeah, all the situations that happen is first it's confusing for everybody because we don't have too many news on the government bodies on what we should do and what to expect for the national international break. This is the main concern for us, that things can be solved for the future. But it's really difficult to understand, because first of all, when a player is called up to play for his national team, is one of the most important things that the player has. So we have to understand it, and at the same time understand that this can happen to any players, that not only the South American. Our European players can be suddenly in the same situation because it's a pandemic. Nobody is able to control it. More than that, all the issues, all the situations, we're gonna solve it between ourselves.
Tanguy Ndombele, he stayed at the club. Will he be on the bench at least tomorrow? Is he back in your squad?
We're gonna assess now all the situations and decide the squad for tomorrow. But Tanguy, it's here and it's our player. Let's try to make the best of him.
Finally, from me, the transfer window. Looking back on it, are you happy with your business, or do you think you might be light going forward in some areas? How do you assess it?
I assess it that I'm happy that it's finished. Not only me, I think all the managers are happy that it's finished, because during it's a moment of uncertainty, things that sometimes you cannot control. But yeah, we have the squad, and this is how we're gonna go, and we are strong and happy.
No, congratulations on the award. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Pause it.
Thanks, Michael. We'll go to George Cumming.
Yeah, I don't know. His response on Sonny didn't seem great, did it?
No, it doesn't.
That's
but
what I'm worried about.
Hopefully, after further assessments, the fears can be a bit eased.
He's like, you said you have to wait for the Spurs to make an official announcement or something. He's like, oh God, well, you don't make an official announcement unless it's like a bad injury, surely, do you? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what he's saying, or if he's saying like just need to wait to assess him a bit further.
That's what I'm just saying. That's what he said. He said you have to wait for Spurs to make we have to assess him, then Spurs will make an announcement on what type of injury it is.
Yeah, so I don't know what to read into that, but I think we just have to wait and see, because we've seen it before. Sometimes managers have said it's not such a big injury and he's out for ages. Sometimes they've said it is a big injury and they've been out for a short time. So I don't read too much into it.
Mourinho used to say he's out for ages and he'll be back like literally the next game.
Exactly.
That's what used to happen.
Yeah, look, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Obviously, it doesn't sound good from what he's saying.
The way he said he's like, Sonny's not doing so well. The way he said that didn't look great.
It didn't look great, but you just have to wait. You have to wait and see after he's assessed even more and see what happens.
And based on what you said on Tanguy, do you read anything into what you said on Tanguy?
Yeah, definitely. I think that that's the case now. It's a closed book on the transfer window. He stayed at Tottenham, albeit whatever the reasons may be, it doesn't really matter. He's a Tottenham player now. And if what we're hearing is true, that him and Paratici and Ndombele and Nuno had really good talks over the last couple of days about the season, about moving forward, and he wants to knuckle down and work, then Nuno will bring him in. I have no two ways about that.
Do you think if he comes on tomorrow off the bench, is that telling like that he's like really back in the frame now? If he comes off the bench, maybe.
If he's on the bench, I think it's telling.
Just on the bench.
Yeah, just on the bench. He hasn't even seen one squad yet so far. So I think that it'll be telling if he's even just on the bench. Never mind coming on or not. I think anything can happen in the space of a game where you need him or you don't need him. You know, if he's on the bench and the good game is not really calling for him. Let's say we're 2-0 down, we're 2-0 up with like half an hour to go, 20 minutes to go. We don't really need him, do we, to come on to try and find that goal. We need more solidity in there in the middle. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into. I would read into a lot of him just being on the bench. Never mind coming on.
I hope to see him tomorrow because I think if he does come off the bench, hopefully that can show that he's going to be used now, like straight away.
Personally, I want to see him start.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I just have a feeling he's not going to start.
Yeah, me too. But that's what I want to see though.
That would be a statement if he does start. That'll be a real statement, but we'll see. All right, let's carry on.
Please.
Thanks, Anthony. Nuno, hello. Nuno, I was just wondering if you could clear up where Lo Celso, Romero and Davinson Sanchez actually are at the moment. Have you spoken to them at all in the past few days?
Yeah, I can tell you that they are in Croatia. That's what we decided to do, to try to avoid more problems. So the solution was to try and get him on a country that after that they can join the group. And now they are working with a sports science and a physio in Croatia.
It's clear, international football means a lot to these players. Does the football calendar need to change so, that this doesn't happen again? Because we've got another one next month. I mean, what's your take on what's going to happen next month?
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Every time that the international break comes on, it's always a concern for us as manager, for us as a group, because you cannot control. But there's nothing much more that I could say that will avoid or find a solution for this problem. I think with FIFA, UEFA, Premier League, they know that we have a big issue between among the clubs. So I hope they solve it. It's not what I'm going to say that's going to bring a solution to it.
Is it something that the Premier League clubs need to come together on, possibly, to prevent this happening again?
I think they did it before, but FIFA is the governing body of football. So we expect answers from FIFA, from UEFA, that can tell us what we should do. Because it's not only us, it's all the clubs in the Premier League. And like I said before, it happens with South American players, but suddenly can happen with a European player. So imagine that our English internationals cannot join the national team because they go to a red list country. Big problem.
Are you disappointed in the three players that they made the choice to go, or do you understand it being a former player yourself?
Like I said before, when a player is called to national team, is something that us as a club makes us proud, because that is the reflect of the quality of the players that we have, and we have to respect. Much more of that will deal with the problems between us.
Thanks. And the last one from me, just you mentioned Son. Is that potentially an injury that's more long term than Crystal Palace tomorrow? Should the fans be worried, or is it just one match, you think?
I don't know. Let's wait and see. The doctors will make the proper diagnostic.
Thank you. Good luck to me.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George. James Savundra from TalkSport, please.
Hi, Nuno. Congratulations on the award. How much progress do you feel like you've been able to make already at Tottenham?
We are working very hard every day. The award, I thank you for it, but it's an award for everybody, for the football club, and especially for the players, because they were the ones that committed and they worked very hard, and they won the three games. So the progress is a day by day. So what we achieved before is only to make us stronger for the future.
And do you feel like the squad is stronger after the transfer window when you consider a number of very experienced players left the club, but you were able to bring in some talent as well?
We have a good squad. Good squad.
Can you tell me a bit about Emerson Royal? Why did you bring him to the club? What do you feel like he offers that you don't already have?
He's a good player. He's very talented. He showed himself in La Liga, which is a tough competition. And we bring him because we believe that he can help us. He's an offensive fullback. For sure, he has aspects to improve, and this is our job.
You spoke before about Tanguy Ndombele, and you said, let's try to make the best of him. Do you think he can have a key role at Spurs this year?
All the players are so important for us. All of them. What we want is to bring the best of each one of them, so we can help the team.
And just finally from me, Nuno, I think it was 5 years ago, Dele Alli scored a world-class goal at Selhurst Park. Now he's got a slightly more defensive role, or more is required of him defensively. Do you still want him to have that goal threat?
He has it. It's part of his work, and it's part of his characteristic. Yes, he has goal on him.
Thanks, James. Next, we've got a couple more, time for a couple more.
That's interesting, because obviously we haven't seen too much of Dele from that point of view so far. So do you think maybe that's more just Dele getting used to the new role, rather than just instruction from Nuno to kind of not be as or arrive in the final third as little as he has?
I think with Dele, with the way things have gone over the past couple of years, it's always got to be mentality first, work hard first, get the basics right first, and then everything else will come. And I think we're all kind of expecting that with Dele. I think even after the first 3 games, yes, he hasn't got on the score sheet yet, but he's definitely had the chances to.
Well, he should have scored against Watford.
That's what I'm saying. Right? In some of the games, he's been in positions to score. He
did score against Wolves as well.
That's what I'm saying. Well, there you go. So I mean, he scored a penalty against Wolves. Albeit a penalty. He got in the positions against Watford. So like slowly, he is growing in that role. And I think that, you need to do the basics first. And that's not and he was not doing the basics in the past couple of seasons. So I think Dele will always be a goal threat. He will always be a goal threat. I just think that he needs that mentality. He needs to show that mentality first and foremost, and that's what he's doing. Maybe it's just a case of now Dele being able to just pick his moments to go forward, and it seems as though when he goes forward at the moment, like he does kind of make an impact. But whereas before, when he had that free role, be a number of times that he would make it forward and just be really lackadaisical, give the ball away very, very cheaply. And maybe that's what he's trying to iron out of his game. When he does go forward, he makes sure he makes the most of it. And although, we haven't seen too many shots on goal and stuff like that, or through balls, but hopefully that will come as the more he gets used to that role. Yeah, I mean, he was a bit more into that role against Watford. Obviously, we had the majority of the possession in that game, which I suspect maybe against Palace we're going to have the majority of the possession as well. So I call on Dele to kind of just grow on that performance against Watford. Yeah, it wasn't the best performance in the world, but you definitely saw some glimpses in there, and him kind of arriving late in the box, having chances. Like you said, he should have scored a goal that game as well. Yeah, it's true. And he had a few more shots from outside the box in that one as well. So I'm hoping that, and also the most important thing, as you say, like he's not a liability anymore off the ball, which is used to be. What did Jose used to say? The fundamentals. The fundamentals. Yeah, exactly. And then what did he say? And Ndombele, our standard stuff. All the players are
important. What else are you going to say on that one?
Yeah.
And then, and also on the international break, I guess what else are you going to say?
Ask him if Cameron Carter-Vickers was still there. Oh, is Cameron Carter-Vickers important to you? Oh, all the players are important to us. Of course they are.
Brilliant. But, all right, let's carry on then.
Yeah.
Or Alistair Gold, please.
Oh, Ali.
Hi there, Nuno.
Hello.
Congratulations to you all on the award.
Thank you.
Just to ask you, obviously, it's not only Sonny that we believe's come back with a little bit of an issue. I mean, Oliver Skipp, Stephen Bergwijn, Ryan Sessegnon, are any of those likely to be available for the weekend tomorrow?
Let's wait and see. We have to assess, speak with the medical department, and make the decisions for the squad of tomorrow.
And can I ask you, sorry, to just follow up on the players who are out in Croatia. When are you expecting them back? Are they going to be back in time for Rennes, or is it more likely the Chelsea match?
They will arrive the day before the match against Chelsea, so they will not be available for the Conference League game.
Thank you. And just on Tanguy, I mean, have you had a chance to just sit down and have a chat with him now everything's kind of finished and the window's gone?
We speak with all the players. All the players have.
He's not
We
asking
speak with
about
them.
all the
It's
players. He's
natural.
asking specifically about
It's
Tanguy.
part of our work. Is the way we work. Dialogue is a main thing for us.
And just last one from me. Obviously, if you do have Sonny out, potentially Stephen Bergwijn out as well, are you confident that Brian Hill is ready for the kind of the pace and the physical nature of the Premier League if he needed to start him?
I think all the players are ready to help the team. Some of them are more because it's natural, because of their age, because of their experience, but all of them are ready to be an option for tomorrow.
Thank you, Nuno.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ali. And last one in this section, Charlie Eccleshare, please.
Hi, Nuno. Just building on the question on Emerson Royale, just wondering how he settled in the first week or so at the club.
He's settling well. He has to improve his English. He only these moments hangs around with Lucas. Normal, but he settled down well. It's a good player, and the way the group is operating, any player that joins us is integrated really, really well, because the boys are aware that everybody should feel comfortable and in a nice environment. So Emerson is okay.
Thanks, Charlie. So we'll move on to the embargoed section for 10:30.
Actually, I was thinking about this actually just now in terms of communication-wise in the back line. Like he says, he needs to improve his English, which is obviously true. But when you think about it, Dyer speaks Portuguese, Nuno speaks Portuguese, and
Lucas as
well also speaks Portuguese. So maybe that wouldn't be so much of an issue if we were to go straight in.
Yeah,
in that sense.
I mean, football's a universal language anyway.
Yeah, but sometimes you need to communicate things very quickly, and you need to make sure the player knows exactly what you mean. And you know, if you're not speaking the same language, and look, yeah, it can't. Doesn't just because you don't speak the same language doesn't mean you can't play together. That's true, but I think when you're going straight into a side, especially into the defence, communication is so key that maybe he wouldn't want to disrupt it straight away. But maybe it wouldn't be such a massive thing.
Yeah, I still feel tomorrow just comes a bit too soon for Emerson.
I think I'll just ease him in. Yeah,
and it's not like he's going to learn English within 2-3 weeks as well. And he's definitely going to be playing within the next 2-3 weeks.
That's true. That's true. At least Nuno speaks Portuguese, so that's all right.
And, you know, we've had players that haven't spoken English before and gotten well. I think Modric, when he first came, wasn't an English speaker, if I remember correctly. Carlos Vinicius probably never picked up English. Oh, he never spoke English.
He definitely didn't speak a word of English.
So, I mean, there was quite a few. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm sure our next guest...
I think Aguero never learned English. He was here for 12 years or something. He never learned English once.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, I'm sure it depends on your personality and stuff, how you get on. But I think,
But it's different, I think, when you're a striker, because it's different. You know, communication, you know, when you're...
Yeah, you need a lot of communication in the back line.
The back line is a bit different. Anyway...
I think you might need it more as a centre back than a full back, though.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably because they're marshalling everyone in the air. It's probably true.
All right, let's bring on our guests now. If you want to join and have your say on the game tomorrow, the link is in the community section right now. And let's get on the flat cap Euro talk expert, Mr. Jack Konecki. And I'm sure you can tell us some people who don't know English in the Spurs squad, or that have been in the last couple of years.
Listen, I mean, languages are tough. I mean, being a professional footballer is already hard enough. I mean, then being good at languages, I think, is just, you're like a 5-star, athlete at that stage, then I would tell you.
But Jack, first of all, great work on the channels at the moment that you're working on. Really good work. Really enjoyed the show last night, first of all. But moving on to the game this weekend, who are you expecting to see in this lineup, especially in the right back positions and on left wing?
On the left wing, it's going to be Brian Hill for me. It's just, I feel like this is the cameo that's made for him. Sonny being out, potentially Bergwijn having, that ice pack the size of his own head, on his ankle. You probably consider Brian Hill is probably destined for this one. At right back, I would like to see Emerson, just because we know that Lucas is one of our most kind of, I would say maybe defensively, minded or focused or just energetic, forwards. He's always going to be trying to put in a tackle, put in a pressure in the attacking third. Obviously, being from the same nation as Emerson, obviously speaking the same language as well. I do see them probably actually gelling quite well together. And if this is going to be Emerson's debut, then I think it needs to be alongside Lucas, probably at that right wing, right back kind of area on that side of the pitch. So I think Emerson should do really well, though, in that area, just because he's more defensively kind of minded and more defensively strong than he is actually going forward. He had, the most interceptions and tackles combined, I think, out of most fullbacks in La Liga last season. So I would like to see him play in this game, but yeah, it would be Hill and Emerson for me.
Would you be worried about him coming up against the Wilfried Zaha on his Premier League debut?
It's tough because Wilfried Zaha has also been kind of rotating, right? I think he was at the right wing at one game, then he kind of, by the end of the fixture, he moved over to the left, and then he kind of sits right next to the striker. He kind of just roams everywhere. He's a bit of a nuisance that way, and so it's really tough. If he's going up against Emerson, like I said, I think actually he might do a bit better than Reguilón. They'll put up a great performance against Ismail Assar, so I don't think we should, sniff at that. And so Reguilón could do a job, but Emerson, I do think he's more defensively strong than he is, going forward, and I think we're going to be able to see that. And hopefully Wilfried Zaha, right, is going to be a really good test, for someone like that. He started off the campaign a bit slowly as well, Wilfried Zaha, so that could only mean that he's going to eventually find his game, to kick off, and hopefully it's not against the Spurs, but we do know, it's kind of a kiss of death.
It's always against the Spurs.
Definitely, yeah, he's definitely going to score. I reckon they're going to score Palace tomorrow. But in terms of Nuno's press conference, you had a watch of it. You see his reaction when the subject of Sonny came to the fore. What do you read from that? Do you read anything? Do you think maybe the injuries may be worse than people are letting on, or do you think maybe we're just going to have to wait and hear?
It's impossible to read Nuno, I will say. That's what I kind of love about him. It's almost like that guy's like in a boxing room, the way he's able to deflect everything. It's almost even better than Jose does. I think Jose would even tip his cap to him, sometimes. As well as Nuno even can. I think some of the reporters must fall asleep, in between the questions as well. He's that brilliant at it. He doesn't concede really anything. It did sound like it's not something that we should be necessarily concerned about being like more than a month or something like that, something kind of major. But it does sound like it was that injury that he was carrying into the international break. Sound like it was worsened, or exacerbated a lot. And so Nuno probably just doesn't want to concede too much. We're obviously not going to be seeing him play against Crystal Palace from the looks of it, but hopefully by Chelsea or the Scum, he'd be available. I'm sure he will be, though, because, again, I think they knew about the injury going into the international break. So if it's kind of the same injury that he was carrying into it, and if it was made worse, of course, that, it's unfortunate, but at least, the medical staff would, have at least a prior knowledge.
And what kind of Crystal Palace do you reckon we're going to see tomorrow? Because obviously they've been super pragmatic under Roy Hodgson as of yet. Under Patrick Vieira so far, obviously they were very pragmatic against Chelsea when they lost 3-0, but they've kind of grown game by game with chances creation. What kind of Palace do you think we're going to see tomorrow?
That's hard, especially considering, the only goals they've scored were from Conor Gallagher with those kind of two, cleverly taken but kind of scrappy goals. So it's hard to know, how they'll even score against us because he's the only man on their score sheet in the Premier League. Patrick Vieira as well is, taking over, the era of Roy Hodgson, which it's just a whole new team. It's a whole new squad. It's a whole new coach. Roy Hodgson, I think, was did a really good job at keeping, Palace organized and keeping them in the Premier League, obviously as well, for such a long time. But it's just their whole new center backs, a whole new defensive line. I'm pretty sure as well, like, Roy Hodgson, he got rid of, the 35-year-old Gary Cahill. I think Scott Dan might still be out of there. Just a tons of just ancient players like Mamadou Sakho as well. I mean, probably the combined age of his center backs were probably even older than him last season when you think about it. And now just seeing Joachim Andersen and Mark Guehi in there. Also, Mark Guehi, it was David and I's kind of unsung hero. He seems to be matching that transfer fee, which was a bit kind of expensive if you ask me. But it seems like they really like him. He's very defensively solid. Joachim Andersen is also really good at passing. He's very good at pinging the ball in behind. It's kind of just a whole new Crystal Palace team. So what Crystal Palace will be seeing, I think my answer would be is very different one than the Roy Hodgson years, just because it's just a whole new squad. It's a whole new era. It's even with Odsonne Edouard and that guy Mateta from last season, as well as kind of the new strikers to replace the very useless Jordan Ayew and also maybe more useful Benteke. It's, I think, just a whole new era for Crystal Palace. I think if they were to fall out or be relegated, I'd be quite disappointed in them, because I think they've even had one of the best transfer windows so far in the Premier League.
It's just one of those games where we can't take it too lightly, can we? Because
it's just a whole new team. It's a whole new team. Like, I don't even, like I said, it's going to even maybe be the opposite of the Roy Hodgson era. I mean, they're running a 4-3-3 more than they're running the 4-4-2 that was, so, heavily reliant on as well. So it's just a whole new era for them.
Do you think that's risky for them, though?
It's risky maybe with doing the Patrick Vieira appointment. With the signings they've made, definitely not risky, because you can consider now that they went from one of the highest squad average ages to one of the youngest now, and also all the talents that they have. Maybe despite spending a lot of money on them, they're all great talents. I mean, Elise from Reading is very, very quality. Eberechi Eze, was beautiful to watch last season. Joachim Andersen was obviously we were heavily rumored with, and a lot of people liked him, for his passing ability. Guehi seems to do quite well. Tyreek Mitchell, of course, they brought through. It's, young and up and coming. Conor Gallagher is not a bad signing. I just feel like, and again, the two strikers, Mateta and Odsonne Edouard, if they were to be relegated, I think that would say more about Patrick Vieira as a coach than I think it would say about Crystal Palace, because I think they've definitely set up the team for success.
Do you think it could suit Tottenham if they're not as pragmatic as they used to be under Hodgson, and used to make it very difficult for us, especially at Selhurst Park, to kind of play our game and play, get the ball on the ground and put good passing moves together? We always either used to win by the odd goal or get a draw or whatnot under Hodgson. So do you think tomorrow, if they do come out of their shell a bit, that could benefit Tottenham, or do you think maybe they could catch us cold if we're not on our game?
That's a really tough question. I would say they probably just, in comparison to Roy Hodgson, they are just a bit more open, a bit more kind of advanced, a bit more modern, you might say. But as well, I think they're still going to, want to get some type of point or win out of this. They've played, I think, now 4 North London derbies in a row. So it only knows whether they're really going to be up for it or not. I think at Selhurst Park, they're definitely going to be up for it. They probably might be a bit exhausted, though, from all these London derbies played in a row. So hopefully that's, again, another kiss of death, though, for us. But I would say it's just going to be a bit more of a modern Crystal Palace. That probably might help us because, that means we don't have to take the game as much to them. They can kind of take it to us a little bit, and we can maybe expose them at a time or two on the counterattack. But I will say if they play like Kouyaté with Guehi and Anderson, it might be a bit more similar to that Roy Hodgson team, which was very kind of defensively pragmatic and organized and whatnot. But I would like to see them take the game to us, because I agree with you. I think it would make it actually a lot easier for us, considering that, with Wolves and Watford, despite us creating great chances, we really did struggle at kind of just dominating the game, dictating the tempo and whatnot. And if we had a team maybe come at us a bit more, probably might help us just kind of kickstart things as well. I would say Brentford, it was a 0-0. They had a clean sheet there, but ever since then, they have been conceding a fair few goals. Conceded 3 against Chelsea, conceded 2 against West Ham. So hopefully, you know, that run also continues. But again, I'm just full of these kids to death. So,
Go on. Nuno's been speaking about Tanguy Ndombele in his press conference. You know, quite positive words, saying that he's back in the frame now. Do you think he's got a chance to play a part tomorrow? Do you think he's got a chance to start tomorrow? And if he does, is that a big signal of intent of how he's going to be used for the remainder of the season, or for the season?
I'll admit, I love this kind of news for Tanguy, and kind of like how David, you know, is practically, you know, kissing the Harry Kane, you know, portrait every night, you know, before he goes to bed. I'm kind of similar with Tanguy. I will admit, you know, I am a bit of a Tanguy apologist. It's been kind of a rough season, you know. I don't really have too many excuses for him, you know, or any ways to apologize for him. So I would love to see him, you know, step up. I think he might even be doing it just for his own career's sake. If he wants to get that move to Bayern, if he wants to get that move to PSG or whatever he wants to go, it needs to be, you know, 10 or 12 games of solid Tanguy performances for them to even look at him again. So I think he's probably realizing that. I think it's also, he's thinking, you know, it is kind of a lonely, cold bench probably, you know, in North London sometimes. And he's thinking, you know, there are only so many Candy Crush, you know, games you can go through on the bench. And he's probably just realizing he actually enjoys football again and, you know, needs to get back out there and prove to himself even maybe a bit of self-worth, you know, just self-importance, you know, just to prove to himself that he deserves to be out there, that he is good enough to be out there. And the way he's been handled, I know it's been kind of hard to watch, especially considering I'm one of his bigger fans, but I think Nuno's been going about it the right way. You know, I think sometimes these kind of players, no matter how talented they are, you know, they do have to be kind of humbled at times, especially when it comes to their fitness. If they're not able to meet the fitness standards, then they definitely should be humbled. And Nuno's gone about it the right way. Will he feature in this game? I think he should. Just because, again, we need to have that creative genius. We need to have a bit more of that, you know, dictating the tempo, taking the game to the other team, and playing somebody like Dele and Tanguy and Højbjerg maybe as the CDM would be honestly a bit more kind of, I would say, advanced and a bit, you know, less safe than we played before. So I'd like to see Tanguy play. Will he play? Maybe he'll feature in like the 60th minute, you know, come on, kind of like Gio has, you know, so I could see that happening, but I don't see him starting, considering that Skippy, I think, is, if he's fit, if he's still ready to go, I think they might just continue with that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. All right, Jack.
Score prediction?
Score prediction.
Oh, score prediction. I've gone for 2-0. Lots of people have said 1-0 just because, you know, this is a whole new Crystal Palace team and we might continue down this 1-0 trend, but I'm going 2-0. And then I think with that, we would be one of only 4 teams in Premier League history, or even just top flight history, to have 4 wins off the top of the campaign with 4 clean sheets as well. So honestly, Nuno's breaking records here.
Do you know who the other teams are?
Aston Villa was one of them in like 1905. That was one of them that I read.
Hell.
I didn't read too much.
Did they win the league? Did they win it?
Who's to know? Villa are maybe more historic back then than they are now. So possibly, but I'll say that was a little bit before my time.
All right.
1905.
Jack, thank you so much for coming on, and we shall speak to you soon. Keep
nice
up
one,
the good
Jack.
work,
Nice to see you, my friend.
Catch you guys. Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Super chat here from Mohammed Raza. We didn't read this out, did we?
No.
It says, in the past, Dele was being set up by Eriksen. Now that we don't have that Eriksen-type player, Dele needs to make his own path to goal. Just my opinion. And that's a good point, because Eriksen and Dele had a great relationship, didn't they? Eriksen was always finding Dele at the back post, his runs to the back post. And by the time, you know, in their 2 or 3, after 2 or 3 seasons together, it was almost like clockwork at times. Like Eriksen would automatically, just without even looking, cross it to the back post and Dele would just be there. And at the moment,
if Dele wasn't there, Kane would be there.
Exactly. And at the moment, he just doesn't have that link up with anyone. And that's someone who knows how his movement works and where his running is. And maybe he's making the runs and he's just not being picked out. We're not seeing it. And that could
maybe
easily
he
be
needs
a
a
case.
Tanguy Ndombele genius to spot him out.
He needs someone.
Or even a Harry Kane dropping deep.
That's the thing. And maybe that's hampering Dele as well. Just the lack of creativity behind him is hampering him. But yeah, that's a good point.
All right, let's move on. Adam William Cahill is up next. Adam, how you doing, mate?
Not too bad, guys. How you getting on?
Yeah, all good, all good. Big game this weekend away at Palace to keep up our 100% record in the Premier League. Are you confident going into this one?
I am. I mean, as Jack said, it's very difficult to be 100% on how Crystal Palace will turn up based on the fact that so much has changed with them since last season. I'd be confident in the fact that we're performing so well at the moment. When we've taken down a team like Manchester City already, you can't not be confident going into any game. You don't want to be overly confident either. But I'm excited. It's exciting because it's the first game back in 2 weeks now. Dying to get back into some Premier League football again. But yeah, I think the fact that it would have been a bit more kind of nerve-wracking if we were going in for Chelsea first game after the break. But the fact that it's Crystal Palace, they're not performing incredibly well at the moment. I'm optimistic for sure.
With Sonny out injured, which is a big blow. We got Lo Celso, Romero, Sanchez all missing in Croatia. We got Skip and Bergwijn being a doubt.
Yeah.
With all these injuries piling up, does Nuno have if we do drop points tomorrow, is there a bit of an excuse there, or do you think with the team we're going to put out tomorrow, we should have enough to get the points?
I think he knows the team very well. He's obviously utilised them to the best of their ability thus far. We haven't scored too many goals. It's only been a goal per game. So there's still more to kind of expect from our attacking players. But even with the guys that we have out, I think we still have a very strong team. It's going to be interesting to see what he does in the defence. I'd like to continue, as Jack said as well, to maintain that clean sheet record for the time being. But I mean, who's going to? I mean, Sanchez out and then Romero out. Personally, I think it's about time for him to kind of maybe shift to a 3 at the back, because who else, are we going to trust Tanganga coming in and playing in the centre back role, which he hasn't played in this season so far? If you look at him in any of the training videos that Spurs are releasing at the moment, Tanganga's doing an awful lot of the scoring, so he seems to be loving kind of doing that attacking, wing back kind of role. So, I mean, if he is going to end up having to shift to centre back for this game, it would make a lot of sense for having Dyer in the middle, having Tanganga to his right, and then maybe having Davis back in again and play the 3 of them. Because at some point, you assume we're going to move to a 3 anyway, right? Because the fact that Dyer and Sanchez are playing so well at the moment, and then you do need to move Romero into the team at some point, we probably will end up going to a 3. So it'd be interesting to try that out now. And I think that would strengthen us back there. And then going forward, I still think that as long as we don't play Harry Winks, which I'm terrified about, that's the scary thing for me for tomorrow. I do not want to see that happen. But we've got Højbjerg. I think bringing Ndombele in and getting him to try and prove himself again, and setting up the attackers or even getting a goal himself, I think that's like. If the rumours are true and he's decided to start applying himself, then again, looking at training videos, he's still the man that we know he is in terms of his skill and his technique. I still think there's plenty. We're not the kind of team that has the same strength and depth as a Chelsea or a Man City, but there are still some quality players there at the end of the day.
Interesting. What kind of game do you expect there to be tomorrow? I know it's very hard to predict with Palace being a very much unknown quantity, isn't it? But with Patrick Vieira at the helm, they're looking to play a more expansive style of play they were under Hodgson, which isn't hard when Hodgson was literally park the bus and just hope most of the time. Very, very pragmatic. So even if they're just a bit less pragmatic, they're still more expansive than Hodgson. But what kind of a game are you expecting tomorrow? Are you expecting Spurs to dominate the ball? Are you expecting maybe Palace to have a bit more of the ball than in previous games? What are you thinking?
I think it's ours to dictate. To be honest, we've tried to control games an awful lot more this season. But I couldn't stand last season with Mourinho's kind of whoever has the ball has fear philosophy. I hate that. Possession-based football is what I want to see, and that's kind of we've been doing an awful lot more of that this season. So I think that we'll try and control the game. Again, as long as we're solid at the back, I think we can keep them away from hitting the back of the net. And I think that what it really comes down to is what players Nuno decides to put out. Is he going to play a Harry Winks? And how's that going to work out for us? Or is he going to the other thing as well is he going to play? Is he going to play with the formation that we've been playing with so far, which is the same for the last 3 games, right? Where is the 4-3-3, or and then is Brian Hill coming in as a direct replacement for Sonny? how is that going to work out? Is he going, he's an unknown quantity for sure. I think that he's shown some tremendous skill already, but there is no replacement for Son. Yeah, he's the man. So it's incredibly difficult to kind of to predict what style of a game it's going to be, but I still think it's ours for the taking. We'll be in the driver's seat, so to speak.
You say it's difficult to predict, but I'm going to ask you to predict the scoreline.
I'm actually going to agree with Jack and say probably 2-0. I would imagine it would be a 2-0 victory, and I would say, considering Harry Kane is going to want to get himself that golden boot again, he's going to want to try and catch up after missing so many minutes in the first,
especially with Ronaldo's debut this weekend as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to want to really perform tomorrow. I think he'd probably score the brace.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you're right, Adam. I hope you're right, and hope to speak to you again very soon. But thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers, lads. Have a good one.
Cheers, man.
Nice one, Adam.
Spurs. Come on.
Another super chat from Mohammed Raza says, I would bring back Bell next season in a role that Ericsson had as a cam. We saw flashes of Bell's creativity last season. Also, it would be on a free.
Wouldn't be the worst shout.
Bell on a free depends, are we going to pay him again 300 grand?
No one is ever going to pay him the money he's on at Real Madrid ever.
How old will he be then? He's going to be 34, 33?
30.
31, 30, so he'll be 33 next season. I guess I wouldn't mind that. He is great. He's creatively.
He's 32 now, yeah.
Yeah, he would be pretty good creatively, but don't know whether he would fit into this new rebuild. Remains to be seen. And we have a new member. It's Wakaz.
Hey, big up Wakaz. Big on. Legend of the channel. Go on, Wakaz. And let's bring on our next guest. I can see him dancing there in the background. Flat Cap Ribsy. Flat Cap Ribsy this time. Isn't that supposed to be on David Harris's channel?
Oh, can't hear him.
Are you on mute?
One sec, mate. There we go.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now we can hear you, my friend.
That's good. It's a different kind of Ribsy than your regular Ribsy. But
how many different Ribsies are there?
Well, there's two so far.
Are we gonna see the third version soon as well?
Who knows? I mean, if Spurs lose, maybe we'll see the third.
We need a different kind of alter ego every time you come on now.
That's it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
But no, I only put the cap on because Jack came on and talked all sorts of intelligent football talk, and you'll get none of that from me, so I'm sorry about that.
We like honest opinion here at We Are Tottenham TV. Yeah. That's all we look for.
Yeah. No. Jack is from the New World, and he will talk very sensible and educated football. And for me, from the other part of the New World, you'll get nothing but nonsense. So
bring on the nonsense, Ribsy. We love it. Bring on the nonsense. But
it'll be quick. It'll be quick, and it'll go quickly as well. So don't worry about that. But yeah, no. We talked when we were talking earlier. We were talking about goalkeepers, and I don't want to talk anymore about goalkeepers. I'll talk about what I want to talk about is midfield, and people are saying, like, what are we doing in the midfield with the people who are not able to play, people who are injured, and that sort of thing. As far as I'm concerned, it bothers me that people are like, let's play Winks, because I don't think that he can play. I'm not entirely sure that he has any ability to actually play in this team anymore. So,
look,
as far as I'm concerned,
when it comes to Winks, he's been extremely off form for a while, but he has shown previously in impressive wins, especially under Pochettino's team, that he has got ability when he's on form and he's and he's got confidence and things like that. He has shown it in the past, and he's just about recapturing. He was an England international for a reason. He don't get called up for England for no reason. So I don't know. I I take your point into when it comes to other players
Ribsy ain't
like
liking your
Lo Celso.
points, mate.
When it comes to Lo Celso and Ndombele, he's nowhere near ability-wise them two. But I do think what he is good at. He has his own qualities, which he just hasn't been able to show for the past year or so. But doesn't mean he'll never show them again.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, Dyer's an England international as well.
And he's our starting centre back at the moment.
Sure. Would you want him starting for England at centre back?
No, probably not, because England have better centre backs. But I'm just saying, he doesn't mean he's useless.
Sure. Okay. I wouldn't say that Winks is useless.
He's got a great back pass on him.
Yeah, like he can pass back to Dyer. So, like, as a pair, they're fantastic, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I get your point on Winks, and I get your point how you don't want to see him starting because we've got much better talents there. But I think that in a game against Crystal Palace or I think the lower Premier League teams, I think he should be more than good enough to do a job. Whether he is or not is a different question,
No.
but he should be more than good enough to do a job in these games.
You make a great point. He is more than good enough, but do we not have younger talents who need the experience,
Like
who can
who?
do a job? Like, I don't know. Like we got, what's his name? Niall something or other.
Well, Niall
Alfie
John played against Passos again, and he looked completely out of his depth. Actually, Winks looked good against Passos.
Well, that's the thing. I don't mind if someone who should be looking good looks bad. Wait, that's not the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is, if someone who's supposed to look good looks like shit, that's a disaster.
Yeah.
But if someone who's learning and trying to become a better player in our team is doing something that is making them a better player, then we should be supporting that.
So
you can't take those risks in the Premier League. You can't take those risks in the Premier League. Conference League,
Good point.
early
Yeah,
rounds
fair
of the
enough.
Carabao Cup, I'll say, yeah, you're right. But you cannot be taking those risks in the Premier League. You'll get opened up alive. You get eaten alive in the Premier League.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair point.
But in terms of tomorrow's game, obviously we spoke about it a bit earlier, but it's a big opportunity for Brian Hill tomorrow, isn't it? How do you think he's going to get on? It looks like he's going to get his first start due to the injuries to Bergwijn and Son. Are you excited to see what he can do?
I don't know about excited. I mean, it's he's a young guy. He's got a lot of work to do. And I think that in these situations is the best situations for a player like him, because we know that he's getting his start based on the fact that other players are injured, so he needs to be there to cover, which takes a lot of pressure off. When you put someone in like that, when they're being picked out, when other people are good to go, is a different thing. But when someone's there on a situation where it's like, okay, everyone else is injured and we need you because you're the best guy available, then that's excellent. That's the time to get those younger guys to go, because it takes the pressure off, because there's no one better.
Yeah. Look, we're going to have to expect a big performance from him. I'm hoping it's a big performance, something of the same ilk that we saw in the second half against Passos. But before we let you go, what's your score prediction tomorrow?
It's 1-0.
1-0.
That's
Who's
what
going to
we've
score?
been doing. Who's going to score? I think... Actually, you know what? You said it. I think that Hill will score.
All right, yeah.
Hill, you reckon Hill's going to score?
I like it. But look, Ribsy, thank you so much for coming on today.
Ribsy.
And we'll see you. Sorry, Flat Cap Ribsy.
Yeah, I'm
see
a
you
different
soon,
Ribsy.
mate.
Yeah, it's
See you later, mate.
Good on you, lads.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Call you Spurs.
See you in a bit.
Legend, that Ribsy. Let's bring on the next guest. The legend, the man, the myth, the legend, which is Wakaz. Let's bring him on.
Can
How
you
you doing,
guys
Wakaz?
hear me?
Yes,
hear
we
you,
can.
Wakaz.
How are you?
Oh, good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're doing well, thank you.
Really good, thank you. Really good, thank you. Are you excited for the game tomorrow?
Yeah. The international break wasn't really like, it's always not very like nice to wait like a few weeks, but now that we're like unbeaten and stuff, it makes it like even harder to wait. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah.
Is it worrying for you that Son's picked up an injury and what we're going to do without Sonny?
It would be, but we've got Gil, we've got Bergwijn, we've got Lucas. Obviously, it's not nice to see a player like Son get injured, but I think we've got the depth to cover that. I know Gil's no Son, but I'm not as worried as I would be like last season or the season before that.
And in terms of the defence, obviously Romero, Sanchez out. Who are you expecting to see in the defence tomorrow? Do you reckon Emerson might get his first start at right back?
Expected or what I'd like to see?
What would you like to see?
What would you like to see?
I'd like to say Emerson, Dyer, and Rodon, and Reguilon.
No Tanganga. You want to drop Tanganga?
The thing, it's tough, but you know what? We'll switch Rodon for Tanganga, and I think that's decent.
Interesting. And what's your prediction then for the game for the game tomorrow? Do you think we'll win?
No.
No. Whoa. What do you think the score's going to be then?
I think it'll be 0-0.
0-0. Why do you think it'll be 0-0?
I don't know. It's like tough to predict games like those, but I don't know. It's just a prediction.
I think you've been stung by Tottenham too many times. You already know you're already been round the block a few times. You know what I mean? You got the Tottenham genes ingrained in you. I like it.
How long have you been supporting Tottenham for?
I think like 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah,
3 or 4 years. Definitely more than enough time to be burned. Definitely more than enough time. All right, well, I guess we'll see what happens on the weekend. If it's let's hope for 3 points, but at least if it's 0-0, you've got your prediction spot on.
Wakaz, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for becoming a member as well.
No worries.
Thank you for calling in, Wakaz.
Yeah, no worries.
See you soon.
Nice to see you.
See you next time. Bye.
See you next time.
Wakaz, that is the
Go
man,
big up
the
Wakaz.
myth, the legend. And we've also got another man and myth and legend coming on. If you ever watched the Republic of Ireland against Portugal, his watch along was absolutely mint. And I actually felt bad for him on the day because it was an injustice. It really was. But let's bring him on. David Harris, the Irish Hotspur. Sorry to get you on the back foot already, but had to mention it.
Do you know what? It took me a week to get over it. I just got over it today. I got out of bed, rolling out of bed, reading some Crystal Palace jokes, having a good laugh. And you've brought it back to memory. It's a hard one to take, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. David, give us a bit of a Matt Doherty scout report from the international break. How did he get on?
Do you know what? He actually played left wing back against Portugal, and he actually had a very good game. He's actually played every game so far, and 2 of them at right wing back. He's actually had very good games, but I'll be honest, let's not get overhyped with this guy. It's the first run of good games he's actually had for Ireland. So, look, it is improvement. Hopefully, he can replicate in the Spurs jersey when he does get his chance.
Yeah. What did you think of, when you scored that comical equaliser against Serbia and you got the Ireland manager running down the touchline, like you just scored like a last-minute winner against England or something, and you just snatched a draw at home to Serbia in your group? What did you make out of that?
Honestly, I felt like putting a hole in my wall. Look, we're going, right? We had to win that. That was our last chance, Loon, to try and get, even a playoff place for the World Cup. and this guy is running down the touchline like he's Jose Mourinho. I couldn't believe what I was watching. This guy needs to realise the height of his manager career was managing Dundalk and beating a Dutch team in the Europa League group stages. And this guy is running down the touchline, celebrating a draw against Serbia. Man, get out of that. We were smacking these teams years ago. I'm fed up with this shit with Ireland. Look, I can see what they're trying to do and everything else. But honestly, I don't know who this guy thinks he is. Even if you look at his press conference, you know, he just doesn't feel anybody with confidence anymore. And look, I think we need to change. Look, maybe get me in there. Me and
Look, enough of that. I can see you're getting angry just talking about Ireland. Let's go back to Tottenham. Let's get a smile back on your face.
So when does Tottenham calm David down? When does that be the situation?
When Ireland is your national team, then, you know, it says a lot. But look, Dave, big game this weekend. Keep up the 100% record. We're facing... would you say a tricky Crystal Palace side? They looked good last time out against West Ham. You don't really know what we're going to get with Crystal Palace this weekend. What are you kind of expecting from them, and how do you think they're going to set up?
Do you know what I'm expecting? With Vieira, they got Vieira in to start playing out from the back and try and play through the midfield up to Benteke. But I've watched a bit of Crystal Palace. I've watched all 3 games, and they do tend to mix it up between long balls up to Benteke and trying to play through the midfield. Look, interestingly enough, I actually think they might go with a 4-4-2. They played a 4-4-2 against Chelsea, although they got slapped. They reverted to a 4-3-3 against West Ham and against Brentford. And look, they got results there. But I do think they might revert to a 4-4-2 and actually put Edouard up with Benteke and fancy their chances up against Dyer. And I would say manhandler Tanguy in there as well. And fancy their chances by getting long ball up to Benteke and get Edouard running in behind.
So how do we combat that? What kind of backline with Romero and Sanchez out? What kind of backline's best to combat that front line, and what difficulties they're going to chuck at us?
Look, I would play Reggie at left back. I would expect him to be up against Wilfried Zaha, to be honest with you. But look, he took Ismail Sarr out last week. Or before the international break. I think he'll do a good job with Zaha. And let me add as well, Zaha hasn't been firing on all cylinders. He's been very, very quiet. Patrick Vieira doesn't really like him cutting in off the wing like Zaha likes to do. He keeps telling him to stay out wide, and you know, he's not getting much love out there. Then to combat, like, even if it is Benteke or Edouard in the 4-3-3, or whether it's a 4-4-2. Look, I think our only options are playing Moon Boots and Manhandler together at centre-backs. And if it is just Benteke up there or an Edouard, they're big boys, they're well able to hold up the ball. One has to go and win the header or compete for the header, and the other one has to drop back to counteract the flick-ons that are going to go in behind them. The two of them cannot get caught going for the one ball, and whoever is up against Benteke cannot afford to be pinned either. That if it is a long ball up to Benteke, they have to take it a few steps back, a few yards backwards, and then go and compete rather than letting him pin them. And then at right back, I think we should put in the Royal King himself, Emerson.
Would you not think about playing a back to the centre back pairing of Dyer and Rodon and leave Tanganga on the right hand side? Maybe give us a bit more aerial presence.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but do you know what? I don't know how fit Rodon is. I was listening to you guys the other day, and you did make a great point when you were saying that, look, he did go and meet up with Wales, but, you know, if he was fit, surely he would have played for Wales, and he didn't. So I'm not sure how fit he is. He didn't really have a pre-season in his legs either. So for me, I think it might just be a bit too soon for Rodon.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And the kind of midfield we're looking at, 4-3-3. I mean, Conor Gallagher has looked really good for Palace the last couple of games. Seems as like everything is really going through him. So how do we stop him? Do you reckon Skip and Højbjerg is enough to do that?
Yeah, 100%. Look, with Conor Gallagher, I've watched this kid, and I actually think he's a very, very good footballer. He's like what Paul Scholes kind of in a way. He makes late runs into the box, and he feeds off the scraps from Benteke. He feeds off them against Palace. Both of his goals were getting into the box late, picking up the scraps. And may I add, he's actually very comfortable on both feet as well. In both goals, he used both feet to be able to score them inside the box. So he's a very tricky customer. But not only that, his work rate is insane. He gets in, he gets stuck in as well. So look, I do want to see Dele Alli, Højbjerg, and Skip. I don't want to see a Winks or an Ndombele in there, purely because this Palace midfield is maybe a lot more hard working than what it was under Roy Hodgson, I would say. Koyate, he kind of sits back in front and protects the back four. But with MacArthur and Conor Gallagher, they do like to push forward. MacArthur on the left of the three and Gallagher on the right. And so we do have to watch out for that. So Dele Alli tracking back on Conor Gallagher because Dele plays on the left of our three. Conor Gallagher plays on the right of their three, so they'll be up against each other. So Dele Alli will have to track back with Conor Gallagher, that's for sure. And we have seen him do that over the past, so I do think I am confident that he will be able to do that tomorrow. But we do have that extra insurance in there of Skippy.
Yeah, and with Son missing as well. That looks like it's going to be a big miss. What are you expecting out of the front three? It looks like it's going to be Gil, Kane and Lucas tomorrow. Are you thinking they could have good link up together? Are you excited to see the prospect of them?
Yeah, look, I'm very excited to see Gil Messi, David Hilva. I can't wait. Look, this guy I think is really talented. Look, I big him up everywhere I can go. I know some people are going to say, look, let's not put too much pressure on the kid. Let's not overhype him. Me, I just love, when I think they're going to be good, to give them all the best nicknames I can give them. And look, for me, I actually think this guy is going to do very well off the left-hand side tomorrow. That's what I expect him to play. And as well, look, Harry Kane looked like you really enjoyed playing with him in the Pacos game. Every time, he was a threat. He has this unique ability. It's like he's standing still when he's receiving the ball. And as soon as they go to take the ball off him, he just drops the shoulder and he's gone. It's a bit like Luka Modric. And I absolutely love it. And what I did see from Bryan Hill, especially in the first half, and maybe not so much towards the end of the game against Pacos de Ferreira, but every time he got the ball, he found his man with his pass in the box. It wasn't just whipping it across the box, hitting for hope. He was actually looking for Harry Kane or anyone and he was getting it to their feet. So look, I think this guy will be very good tomorrow. Lucas, I want to see a return of form. I really do want to see a return of form. He's up against Tyreek Mitchell. Look, this guy, all you have to do with this guy is do what Arsenal done to Doherty last year, is just play the ball inside, run outside, receive it, get the ball across. He gets caught out with that time and time again. And Bryan Hill up against Joe Ward. Look, Joe Ward is a big physical guy. But look, with Gil Messi, the feet on him, he should just be popping it by him and crossing it. And just in terms of Palace's backline, Guehi, the guy they brought in, he's actually their most competent defender, believe it or not. He's actually very, very good. If I was Harry Kane, and I know Spurs fans don't want to hear this because we were probably all looking to get this guy in, but I would be targeting Joachim Andersen tomorrow. Because, look, I watched Brentford. Ivan Toney stood on Joachim Andersen all game long, caused them a nightmare. Mikel Antonio, as much as he could, was on Joachim Andersen and caused them an absolute nightmare, whether it was going and winning headers, whether it was taking the ball in, playing others in, or going in behind. He caused them an absolute nightmare. So that's, if I was Harry Kane, I'd be looking at that and fancying my chances against him.
Do you think going forward, without Son, without a kind of like creative force in the midfield like Tanguy Ndombele, we've got enough creativity? We got enough going forward tomorrow?
Yeah, look, it's only Palace. I get it. They've changed manager to have that ex-Gooner in charge and everything else. But look, it is only Palace. At the end of the day, they're Eagles and their wings are there to be clipped. Look, last year we allowed them back into the game at Selhurst Park. Look, I think we're actually unbeaten in 12 games at Selhurst Park, and they've only scored 4 against us. So look, we really should be beating them tomorrow. I don't want. I'll put it this way. I'll be a bit pissed off if it was a draw. To be honest, we should have enough to be beating them. We really should. Yeah,
definitely. And what's your score prediction for the game tomorrow?
Yeah, look, I'm going to go 3-0 tomorrow.
3-0? Come on, Dave. Come on.
No, look, it's time the big man stepped up. Harry Kane, everyone else played their part, put the bodies on the line, got some injuries as a result of it to get us to the start we've got. Now it's time for the big man, the king of the lane, to come in and, bury Palace tomorrow, along with a goal from Gil Messi as well. I can't wait. I cannot wait for this game. Tottenham are back, baby. Everybody should be excited.
100%. We are all excited. We are all excited. And we're going to get even more excited when everyone out there watches the pre-match pump-up tomorrow, starting at 11 o'clock with David Harris taking you through. And then the watch-along with Bob Spur TV and John Cooper. And then the post-match fan show with them as well. So you excited to see Bob Spur on the watch-along tomorrow, Dave?
Oh, look, it's definitely going to be a good one. That's for sure. Bob, he has a bit of sense of humour, so it should be good. Alongside the Kane hater, John. It should definitely be a good one. You might even see them arguing over Lucas Moore and Stephen Bergwijn. Bob is CEO of the Bergwijn Love Squad, and John is CEO of the Lucas Love Squad. So you could see an argument there over wingers tomorrow. But look, it's all about the pre-match pump-up. That's what kicks off the day. What I say to the fans is your support so far has been incredible. but I want to see more of you come on. I want to see a lot more of you come on. You know, this show is for you guys. It's boring sitting there listening to me with my big mouth. I want to get you guys on. I want to get your opinions. And look, I might even have a few Palace jokes for everyone tomorrow just to lighten the mood a bit before the game.
Brilliant. And before you go, we got a super chat here from Bob Spur for you, David. And he says, please tell David the man I loved his watch along too, especially how Phil was 10 seconds ahead. Have to admit, after the England banter, I loved it.
No, look, I fully expect it. You know, it is what it is. It was a bit sickening because I really thought it could have been a turning point for Ireland. I really did. You know, we were blooding in a lot of youngsters. I really did think it could be the turning point. But look, you know, same old Ireland sort of situation. And I'll be honest with you, I actually got let off lightly, to be honest with you. Very, very lightly. Very lightly. And I was disappointed because, you know, I love the banter, so I was expecting it to get a bit harder. So if there is anyone still feeling a bit sour over the Euros, get over it, you know, and, you know, give me a bit of banter about Ireland. I absolutely enjoy it.
I'll have to message you a bit later then.
I just want to say, I hope you enjoyed the flat cap takeover today as well. These bad boys seem to be taking off right now. We're going to have to post 2 over to you guys so that every time, you know, one of the flat cap army comes on with a flat cap, you have to put it on.
100%. We might have to get some branded one saying Flat Cap Army on it or something.
Yeah. No, look, I'll get my sister who's out in the shed knitting, doing all the hashtag Harris Army and everything on the I'll pay her a few extra. I'll say, make sure you get this one right. This is for the Dons of Tottenham YouTube. So, you know, let's get them sent over. But no, look, big up for having me. And just the Spurs fans, look, remember, we're top of the league. Arsenal are bottom. Let's roll into the weekend, make it 4 from 4 and beat Palace.
Come on, David.
David.
See
Big
you
up
all tomorrow morning. David, big respect to yourself. We'll speak soon.
See you soon, lads. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on. Love the confidence.
Anyone else, Jake? No. All right. That is it. That is your pre-match fan show. A great way to end it with David Harris. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. We'll see you all tomorrow for match day. Well, me and my brother will be both going to the game. So like I said, pre-match pump up will start at 11 o'clock with David Harris. 15 minutes before kickoff, you'll be having the watch along. That's what time the watch along will start with John Cooper and Bob Spur TV, and they'll be taking you through to the post-match fan show as well. And then after that, you'll see all the content coming through from the stadium as well, or even during the day you'll see that. But later on today, you're also going to have the match preview and predicted lineup as well, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.
Thank you.